What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel into another WNBA video. We got a two-game slate to dive into for Sunday, May 18th. Just going to break down and analyze each of those two games, talk about which way that we're leaning as far as the points and the spread, and also go over any player props that we found in those games that we like. Then any plays I'll put in officially myself, there's going to be a link down there in the pinned comment. It's going to send you right over to the Guy Boston Sports website, and that is where all of my final plays will live for the day. Now, guys, before we get into today's slate, let's go ahead and take a look back. We haven't been able to recap any of our picks so far. I've been making these videos like a little bit early, right? The night before, and the games have still been going on as we are recording the video. So we're going to go ahead and take a look back to opening night on Friday because recording a little bit early and the Saturday games are still going on, right? We got the 10 o'clock game between the Storm and the Mercury to get through before we could recap Saturday's picks. But anyways, on opening night on Friday, we did end up going 4-2. Now, we only played pretty much everything at quarter units. We did have a one half unit play. That was the Dream and the Mystics, the total over 153.5, and that one cashed. Also took the Mystics in the first half plus 4.5, put a quarter unit on it, and that one cashed as well. We did take a Rike Gubawale over 19.5 points, put a quarter unit on it. She did have 12 at halftime and then just kind of goes flat in the second half, right? So she does not cash on that one. Took Nalissa Smith of the Wings as well, under 9.5 points, another quarter unit play. That one cash. Took the Sparks minus 6.5, another quarter unit play at plus money, and that one hit as well. Then we took Rakia Jackson in that game over 14.5 points, man. And I was watching that one, man. At the end, she had 13 points, right? She got a couple good looks at the basket. I think 3 shots sitting on 13 points. She couldn't hit any of them, man. That last one, like it looked like it was about to drop, boom, rimmed out. It's like, damn. So we're 4-2 on the night, man. Nothing hateful, right? We end up going up a half unit, playing those at quarter and half unit plays. So we end up on the day, half a unit. Good little building block to get us started. And then Saturday's picks so far, I got 6 plays out there. Four of them have gone through already. We are 2-2 starting off on Saturday, heading in to that 10 p.m. tip-off. I'm just gonna say, man, whoo, y'all were mad as hell at me for taking that Angel Reese under rebounds, right? Look, man, I understand. I told you in the video that it was a risky play, right? But hey, it was a risky play. That's why we only put a quarter unit on it. But man, some of the comments I was getting, I was like, damn, y'all, it's only the day. It's day 2. I'm not gonna be perfect, man. But hey, it is what it is, man. I got thick skin, and you got to making these YouTube videos, man, because it's always gonna be somebody in hindsight that could have did it better, right? It is what it is, man. So let's go ahead and dive into today's slate. Hit that like button down there for me if you can. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Don't want to miss out on any of this content, guys. Between me, Evan Tassos, we're going to keep you guys loaded up with free picks on the daily. So make sure you smash that subscribe button as well as that like button. Now let's go ahead and dive into these picks, man. First off, we have a 1 p.m. tip-off between the Washington Mystics and the Connecticut Sun. Mystics opened up as 1.5-point favorites. Man, I'm glad I jumped on that one right away, right? Because that is up to -4 now. We saw the total move as well, open up at 153.5. I also jumped on an over. Glad I did, man, because that's now at 155 as well. We'll talk about that movement here as we get going. Mystics are going to come in on the road for this one, fresh off of a opening night win over the Dream as a dog. And look, like I said, we cashed in the first half on that one, right? Because I had spoke how I thought about Washington coming into this season with a good bit of talent, but my concern was all of that youth over there on that roster, man, and their ability to close out games, right? Well, they showed me. I mean, look, it's just one game, but no need to overreact, right? But like the Mystics played fast, they played tough, and the rookies stepped up in their debut to help the Mystics drop 94 on Atlanta and secure a 4-point victory. And let's talk about those rookies real quick too, man, because we saw both Kiki and Citron in the starting lineup, and both played very well, in my opinion, man. Irfan went for 14 points before fouling out in the final seconds. And like I said in the opening night, man, in that video, she just looks like she belongs. She did in the preseason and she did in opening night as well. She is tough as hell, strong as hell. And that typical transition period for rookies in the W as they adjust to the pace and the physicality of the league just does not seem to apply to her so far. And then Citron, 19 points on 6 of 7 shooting, 2 of 2 from deep. She's looking like a seasoned vet at times already. So definitely like those two for Washington and what they're bringing to the table, jumping into the starting lineup right away and succeeding it so far. Like I said, just one game, but they've looked good through the preseason. They look good so far here in the opening night as well. Sykes struggled shooting the ball, Brittany Sykes, in this one, but she found her way to the line quite frequently, led the team with 22 points, including a layup with under 30 seconds to play, and then she followed that up with a steal and an assist to Citron, and that put the game on ice. Now, this will be the first of 4 on the road for Washington, as Connecticut will be playing here in their season opener. The Sun went through a tremendous amount of change. I believe I read somewhere that this is the first time in the history of not only the W, but also the NBA as well, that a team made the playoffs and then lost their entire starting 5 the next season. I'm pretty sure I read that, right? And maybe it was like the first time since like 1970 or something like that. But like, regardless, man, it's unheard of, right? It's crazy to lose your entire starting 5 and then pieces of your rotation as well. Coach Stephanie White departed for the up and coming Fever. The Sun, man, and in regards to all this, they just effectively fell from true title contenders all the way down to the bottom of the league and into a rebuild with honestly not a lot of clear direction either. The team is now up for sale. It's expected that the buyers will look to move this franchise, and like honestly, what a shame, man. Like obviously Connecticut is rich in women's basketball history, and the Sun have competed for a championship multiple times in their history as well. They just could never break through and get over the hump. So it just sucks for the fan base over there, man. It seems like the reports coming out that ownership really just not invest didn't ever invest into this team the way that they should have. There was the report last year that came out about the team's playing in the playoffs competing for a title, and they have to cut their practice short because there's a kid outside having a birthday party at the gym that they're playing at or that they're practicing at. Stuff like that is just it's absurd. You're a professional basketball organization, man. And so I maybe it's a good thing that this ownership is selling the team and they can get this franchise back on track. But like I said, just a shame for that fan base. But this team is, they still have 1 season left in Connecticut at the least, right? And this version of the Sun is going to look totally different than last year's. One of my personal faves, Marina Mabry, she is the only player that remains from the Suns' regular rotation last year. She even demanded a trade, but Connecticut just didn't oblige, right? They're like, nah, you're the one person we're going to hold on to. Everyone else can go. Man, they are chock full of youngsters, unproven players, just question marks all over the place entering 2025. Their biggest acquisitions being veterans Tina Charles, who is at the tail end of her career, and then Lindsay Allen, who played in Chicago last year. And played well in her role, right? Then along with Anissa Morrow, excuse me, and then Sanaya Rivers. But unfortunately, both of those rookies will be out for this one. Sun, with their influx of new players and an entirely new coaching staff, still have a goal of remaining competitive and making the playoffs. But guys, come on, man, I'm not buying it. They're not going to compete this year. The Sun are going to be trash. Free Marina Mabry. Free her. Come on, let her out. For this specific match, though, I'm on the Mystics. I feel like I've seen enough from them so far through training camp, the preseason, and now opening night. I think this is going to be a fun team to watch, and I think these youngsters are going to sneak up on the league in these early weeks. And until teams get some film on them, it's going to be tough to figure out how to contain them, right? Washington is looking to get out and run, play with pace, and I don't see anywhere on the Sun roster where they really have any pieces to hang with this team. So you do have to worry slightly about a letdown with Washington and their young players, right? After such a hard fought win over the Dream. But man, I just can't get behind the Sun right now. It's a dumpster fire of an organization that ownership never really wanted to invest in. Like I said, now they're selling. Like, nah, man, give me the Mystics here laying the points. At least that organization is like put together and running properly at the moment. For the total, I'm curious to see what style of offense Connecticut comes out here with in the opener. They were the slowest team in the league last year as far as pace is concerned. But obviously, as we've discussed, this is an entirely different team, and they're also a much younger team. So I would expect them to play at a more up-tempo pace. And their defense isn't going to be tops in the league as they were last season either. Honestly, I don't think they'll be anywhere close. It's an extremely low number that we're looking at in this one, and after watching the Mystics drop 94 points while giving up 90, I'm inclined to look at it over here. Connecticut's going to struggle to get stops against the Mystics, but my only real concern with it over here is if the Sun will be able to generate enough offense on their end. At the end of the day, though, I think Washington puts up a ton of points again, and we see the Sun do just enough, um, you know, against the average at best Mystics defense, and we see an overhit here. Then, as far as the player prop is concerned, I'm looking at Marina Mabry of the Sun. I'm looking at an alternate. Her points are sitting at 15.5. I like to just buy a point down, man. Get that at 14.5. Get that at minus 135 over there in FanDuel. Just need her to hit 15 points. And I think she'll be the focal point of the offense for the Sun. There's already talk about her taking on more of a leadership role with this team and kind of being the go-to player. And I think that she steps up to the plate here. The data doesn't necessarily like scream that she's going to smack this number, right? She did hit 21 points in her last meeting against the Mystics, but only hitting at a 33% rate. But if we kind of push it back, look at her in her last 20 games with the Sun last season, you can see that she hit above that at a 65% rate. And that was with Dewana Bonner, Alyssa Thomas, Dejounte Carrington, Tiffany Mitchell, Brianna Jones. There was a ton more scoring being generated out of that offense. Don't get it twisted. Connecticut wasn't like lighting people up on the offensive end or anything, but that's a lot of points to replace, right? And there were so many question marks on this team. It just feels like obvious to me that Marina is going to be that number one option here. And like I said, she was already hitting well above this number at a consistent rate for the most part last season as well. Once she came over here to the Sun via trade midseason, so I like this look here, over 14.5, minus 135. I think that there's a good chance that I end up playing that one myself. But also taking a look at her three-pointers made over 2.5 because she's gonna shoot a lot, right? She always is. She's a volume shooter. She has been most of her career, right? So I mean, you can look down here and see 7.1 three-pointers attempted per game. You can see all the attempts in the last 20 games that she played with Connecticut. So definitely like the chances of her. She's going to get the opportunity, basically, right? So if she has one of those nights where she gets hot, which as you can see, she has those nights. You know what I mean? 5, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6. Like, she has those games where, like, once her jumper starts falling, man, it starts falling. So I think it's worth a look here at plus money. We just need her to hit three of them things. And like I said, not a bad number, not a bad rate here, 45%. We'd like to see it in the green, but at plus money, I think it might be worth a risk, might be worth a light sprinkle. And our second game is a 6 p.m. tip-off. Minnesota Lynx taking on the Los Angeles Sparks. Lynx are 5-point favorites on the road here with a total sitting at 161.5. Both of these teams coming into this one fresh off of opening night wins as the Lynx pulled away from the Wings in the second half despite being down two starters, and they did so behind a monster performance from Fee. The Sparks had a monster performance of their own, right, as Plum set a W record for points scored in an opener with 37. She was huge, man. She really was. I talked in our opening night video about the Sparks and how great of a move for them I thought bringing Plum in, but this exceeded my expectations even. Her ability to find her own shot while keeping her team involved with pinpoint passes, great court vision, her voice and leadership was on full display as well. She could definitely have a huge year, man. I think this just, taking her from being the second, third option and inserting her into that main role, right? She is the go-to player over there. Man, she has stepped up to the plate so far, right? Like I said, just one game, same thing I said earlier. It's just a one game small sample size, but man, it was an impressive sample. So definitely like that move for the Sparks and definitely like that moving forward for them as well. Kayla McBride and Alana Smith both missed the opener for Minnesota. Both of them are listed as game time decisions here as well. Smith is dealing with a quadricep injury, and McBride missed the preseason. And then that opener, like I said, with what's been labeled as personal reasons. Can't find information anywhere, man. I've looked all over X, trying to find something somewhere, some kind of leak. I've looked everywhere. I can't figure out what's going on with her or when she'll be back. There's no kind of timetable. So strange. Not sure what's going on. Hope all is well with her, though, end of the day. For the Sparks, we have Julie Alleman and Ray Burrell listed as game time decisions also. I was concerned with the Lynx, man, after Coach Reeves called them out in training camp for a lack of energy, effort, and focus during practice, right? That was definitely concerning for me. When the head coach is going to the media and saying her team is acting like they don't want to be here to put the work in practice, coming in off such a gut-wrenching loss in the finals, like, yeah, man, that is concerning. But even without McBride and Smith, the Lynx looked like a team to watch out for yet again in the opener. They shot 53% from the field, 35% from deep, and they dished out 27 assists. Obviously, having Smith and McBride out there just makes them better, right? Just that much better, both offensively and defensively. But I was impressed with their performance Friday night without the two. So even if they don't play here, I'm not sure that I'm willing to write off the Lynx against the Sparks here like I did on opening night, right? I definitely was a little hesitant to look Minnesota's way. Now I know it's a Wings team that they played, right, and that they're definitely on the lower tier with lower expectations on the season. But good teams do exactly what the Lynx did in that one, and they beat teams like they should beat. The teams that they should beat, they beat them, and they beat them convincingly. And that's what we saw from Minnesota there. I do think the Sparks at the least match up well with the Lynx, however, because I talked about, in that opening night video about how I actually think that they're like pretty sneakily deep this season at every position, right? The Sparks have a lot of talent, but it's funny to me because I actually feel like they have more depth than Minnesota, but Minnesota simply just has more talent overall on their rotation, right? So the Sparks might have more pieces, but the pieces that the Lynx have trump the Sparks' talent, right? And that's not taking anything away from Los Angeles. Like I said, I like what they got going on, and I think they're going to make a push for the playoffs this year. LA just, they shot just under 37% from deep on Friday. Good look, right? But if you take a deeper look at that, it reveals that that was actually just all Plum and Rakia Jackson. They made 7 combined threes, and that was the only makes from beyond the arc for the Sparks. So all in all, I think the Sparks are going to have a good season. Like I said, get back into the playoff hunt, but the Lynx are on a mission, just as I expected, and that talent disparity will be on display here, especially as the game winds down into crunch time, right? Like the Sparks may be able to keep this one close early. Ultimately, the Lynx should be able to pull away and cover this line. And for the total, it's hard not to want to jump right to a over here, right? After watching the Sparks put up 84 in the opener, while the Lynx dropped 99 on Dallas and then allowed 84 themselves. But I expect the Lynx to tighten up defensively with each passing game. I wouldn't be surprised to see a slight letdown from the Sparks here as well. LA were the worst team in the league last year, and while there was much optimism surrounding this team coming into the season, especially out of their own camp, right? Going out and winning on the road by double digits behind an explosive performance from their new star was probably more than they could have even anticipated. So I think the Lynx are going to be a much, much bigger challenge than the Valkyries playing in their debut game, right? And then also, if we jump over here to Outlier, we can see that the last 4 meetings between these teams have hit under this line, and really by a good margin, right? Only this one game at 157 really even got close to that 161 and a half. I mean, we can even kind of push this one back farther. As a matter of fact, man, these two have hit under in 7 straight games, head to head, 8 of their last 9 meetings. So I think I'll lean under in this one, that under 161 and a half, but I'm not sure that I get there with that. And a player prop I'd be looking at in this one would be Odyssey Sims of the Sparks, looking at her points and assists over 11 and a half. And we can see this insight here from Outlier that she has exceeded this line in 4 of her last 5 games, actually averaging just over 14 and a half points plus assists per game in those last 5, hitting at an 80% rate. And check it out up here, man. It's all green. We love to see that because you can push it back to her last 10. She's still hitting at a 60% rate. Look at her in her last 20, 65% rate on the season last year, a 67% rate to the over, and then head to head against these Lynx, a 100% hit rate hitting both the games last year against them. So I'm liking this one here. Like I said, Odyssey Sims over 11 and a half points plus assist. Guys, that is going to wrap it up here for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the content, found it helpful and useful. And if you did, please do not forget to smash the like button down below and hit subscribe if you have not already. And that's going to do it, man. I will see you back tomorrow for another video. Hope you guys all cash out and hope we have a great night. See you on the next one.